Hello everybody, welcome back. Today we're doing 8.3 wages and overtime. The focus of the lesson is going to be identifying jobs that earn an hourly wage and tips. We're going to look at salaries, determining the total time worked, gross pay, time and a half, double time are going to be some of the items we're going to focus on. We're going to look at changes in pay and identifying and collecting errors in the gross pay. If a person is paid by wages, that means that they're paid per hour of work they do. So your hourly wage multiplied by the hours worked gives you the amount of money you earned. And this is actually called gross pay. We're going to learn a little bit later on. So Grant earns $13.75 per hour and works 13.5 hours in a week. How much will he earn? So you take the $13.75, multiply it by 13.5 hours. The hours divide, as you can see, cancel out there, and you're left with the amount earned, which again, that's called gross pay, of $185.63. So it says Don works 7 hours and earns $90.65. What is her hourly wage? So you take the amount of money, divide it by the time worked, and you get the money per hour. This is similar to that of the unit price, kind of the same idea. All right. And we can just put that per hour. Usually HR, lower H, lower R is for hours, and there's your price. Okay. Let's look at example 1. It says calculate the earnings for each job. $13.50 per hour for 35 hours. So I'm just going to steal this here equation, right? Oh, sorry about that. Being fussy on me. There we go. That's what I want. So we put $13.50 in, 35 hours, and we'll get the amount. I'm going to grab my calculator for that one. So 13.5 multiplied by 35, and that is $472. And it says just 0.5, but you add the 0 in because you're dealing with money. Okay. Next one is 25 hours at $23.75 per hour. We'll do the same thing. So it is $23.75 per hour at 25 hours. And that's going to give us, so we just go to our calculator, 23.75 multiplied by 25, and we get $593.75. And the last one, $18.35 per hour for a total of 39.5 hours. Will give you a total of, so 18.35 multiplied by 39.5, and that is $724, and it says 825, so the 2 rounds the, the 5 rounds the 2 up to 83, so the $724.83. Now we're going to do the next example. We're going to determine the hourly wage, right? So this one is like the second example we have here, so I'm going to steal that for a second. All right. So it is $403.20 for 24 hours worked. So I take 403.2, I divide it by 24, and I get 16.8, but remember add the 0 for money, so it's $16.80 per hour. Do the same thing with the second example. This time we have 15 hours, this time it's $442.50. So do that math, just put it in your calculator, punch it in, calculate it, and you get 29.5. Again, we'll put the 0 in, so $29.50 per hour. Okay? So that's how to determine the hourly wage. The next one is when you're going to look at a work schedule and determine how many hours worked. So remember, once you get to 12, then you have to look at the AM, PM. So for Monday, the shift, this looks like it's a night shift or a back shift you've heard before. So 11 p.m. to 6 in the morning. So 11 to 12 gives you 1 hour, and then the 12 to 6 gives you 6 hours. So on Monday, I'm going to make a little chart here as well, filling in the hours. All right. So it says how many hours. So I'll just fill the chart in. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Again, you don't have to do this. This is just me doing this for you. All right. So here we had a total, and then I'll actually, you know what I should do? I'll add in the another column for total. All right. Adding them up. So here we have 7 hours we calculated it to be. Here it's that's 12 a.m. That's just before midnight, right? So 11:59, and then once it gets to 12, then it starts the next day, right? So that's when you see me putting the assignment due dates in. I put 11:59, right? Because once you hit 12 o'clock, it turns to a.m. So there's another 7 hours. 6 hours on Wednesday. 11 to midnight is 1 hour, and then plus 5 more gives you 6. Here it's midnight right to 7, that's easy, 7 hours, and the next one was a 5-hour shift. So your total number of hours, you add these up, 7 and 7 plus 6 is 20, 32 hours, right? So how many hours did she work this week? She worked 32 hours this week, based on the schedule that we have, okay? It says Ashley earns $13.50 per hour. What will her gross pay be for the week? So I'm going to go up and steal that again. All right. So when we do that, we put $13.50 in per hour, and the total was 32 hours. So then we're going to calculate that. So 32 multiplied by 13.5, and I get $432. Okay, and that's it. Let's look at overtime. So what happens is, overtime is when a person works beyond regular hours. Different jobs will state that overtime begins at different number of hours. So overtime is typically only for extra hours over the expected or regular hours. By law in Nova Scotia, a person must be paid overtime for any hours worked beyond 48 hours in a single week. So any hour additionally, that's what we'll use unless otherwise stated. So it says Traven works 50 hours a week and earns a regular wage of $14 per hour. How many hours overtime? So I take 50 and divide it or minus 48, and you get 2 hours of overtime. So we'll use this unless otherwise stated. Yelena works as an electrician. She worked 61 hours in a week. How many hours of overtime did she work? And it's 13 hours, subtracting the two. Okay. First example, it says Kenny works 49 hours, so the number of overtime hours, I'm going to steal this sentence. Alright. Sorry about that. Just some formatting issues there. Make that red. 49.5. So 1.5 hours of overtime. And the second example we have, not sure why that's double spaced on me. Okay. So this time Julie works 45 hours, but at this particular job, anything over 40 hours is overtime. So that means there's 5 hours of overtime in that particular case. Okay. So again, unless otherwise stated, then you will use the 48, right? Okay. Next one's 48 minus 48, so that's obviously 0 hours or 0 hours of overtime, right? And the next one, 60.25 minus 48 would be 12.25 hours of overtime. Okay? Overtime wage. So what happens is you get 1 time and a half or 1.5. So if your hourly rate is 14 hours, those overtime hours you'll get 1.5 multiplied, so you get $21 per hour for the extra overtime work. Same idea. Yolanda's Regular wage is $18.50. Multiply that by 1.5 and it's $27.75. Okay. So determine the overtime pay. So overtime wage, we'll just use the information here. Okay. So the overtime wage is equal to 1.5 times 1180. I'm just going to put OW in, or OTW, overtime wage for short, just because I don't have enough room here. Alright, and I take 1.5 multiplied by 1180, then I get 1770. Alright, 1770 per hour. Okay? And make that font a little smaller, just where it's quite large. And B, 31 multiplied by 1.5 would be 46.50. And the last but not least, the $17.30 per hour. $17.3, and we get 1.5 multiplied by 17.3, and we get $25.95 per hour. Okay, take that one down just because I ran out of room. Okay. Yeah. All right. That'll be it for this video. In the next video, we'll look at total pay, and we'll go through these examples. All right. Thanks, everybody, and we'll talk again soon.